here. Okay. So my first question is, when did you first think about pursuing higher education?
I think I always thought I might go to pursue higher education, but I first started seriously thinking about it in high school.
Okay, awesome. What barriers did you face while attending higher education?
Financial barriers, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Financial, and I don't know if it would be a barrier, but just maybe indecisiveness. I didn't know what I wanted to do for a while, so it probably took me longer.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have I didn't know what degree I wanted or what career I wanted, so I kind of took my time figuring that out.
Okay, yeah, totally. So how did you personally overcome those barriers that you said?
Yeah. The financial piece, I mean, several different things. I worked. That was another reason why sometimes it took longer. I was working and wasn't taking as many classes because of that. I had some financial aid, but ultimately what I decided to do was I joined the Army National Guard, and they paid for your tuition, which was a big perk. That's not the only reason I joined, but it was one of the things that kind of put me over the edge, is to help pay for school. So that was the thing I did for my undergraduate degree, and my graduate degree was a little different. I got student loans for that, which I think a lot of people do in graduate school, but so that would be how I did the financial piece. The focus, the indecisiveness, that was just a process of exploring, and I think one thing that helped a lot was meeting with school counselors, career counselors, networking, talking to different people in different industries and careers that I had interest in, and then ultimately doing things like internships to get a little bit more experience and see what they liked.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what socioeconomic or basically economic advantages have you received because of your higher education?
Quite a bit. I would say that my earning potential went up significantly in both of the levels of higher education that I got. So, unless you're going to be an entrepreneur, you need to get hired by somebody.
Yes.
And education, I think this might be in some of your later questions, but education definitely qualifies you, opens the door to a kind of a next level of careers, at least the ones I was looking at. So that was a big factor. And it just opened doors to opportunities that I wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah. So what intangible benefits have you received through your higher education?
I think, there's a certain level of satisfaction and, self confidence and sense of that comes from getting a degree alone. I think you learn to work hard and, all of those types of things. You do gain valuable life skills. I think that you get life experience by learning different things, and that's part of school. And, you take classes that you may not necessarily apply directly to your future career, but they apply to life, and you learn a lot and gain a lot in that regard. I would say the other thing is just your interaction with people. I met friends that I wouldn't have otherwise met. You build a network, which is kind of a tangible thing as well, that actually can help your career, but also just in life, you build a network of people and friends that you wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah. So, on a professional level, like, what degree, not on a professional level, but what degrees do you have and where did you get them? That makes sense.
Yeah. So I have 3 degrees. I have a bachelor's degree in business management from UVU. And then I did a dual master's program. So I ended up with 2 master's degrees from Utah State, one in human resources and one being an MBA, business administration.
Okay, awesome. So on a personal level, what about your background or experiences make you able to provide insights about higher education and its value?
Hold on, say that one more time.
So on a personal level, like, what past experiences have you had, not regarding necessarily like your degree in general, but just life experiences that have taught you that like higher education is valuable?
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think so. Neither of my parents graduated from college, and we were fine growing up, and my dad has a very, very respectable career, but I also saw that there were other things out there as I grew up that I felt like higher education could benefit me and my future family, to again just kind of create new opportunities and kind of a different world of employment and earning potential, I would say. So there's that, and then I worked in several jobs growing up and through college and things like that were more trade type jobs, blue collar, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
And while those were very valuable, I found that I just personally didn't love doing that, and I realized really quickly that if I wasn't going to do something along those lines, then I probably needed to go to school to get a different type of job.
Yeah.
So that was...
Okay, that's awesome. So I understand, don't you help like decide who you hire, right, in your job? Or you've done that in the past?
Sure.
Yep. So how do individuals' educations play a role in who you hire?
So I would say there's 2 ways, 2 categories. One, we kind of already talked about. One, education is a qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps you qualify for certain positions. You, in most companies, if you don't meet the minimum qualifications when you send in your resume, your resume is going to get tossed probably to the side, because there more than likely are many candidates that do have the minimum qualifications, right? So first of all, that it's a qualifier. I would say the next thing it does is it differentiates you. And that could be in a lot of different ways. Maybe I'll just throw out some examples. Maybe the job just requires a bachelor's degree, but you have a bachelor's and a master's degree in that field that would be applicable. That could differentiate you. If you have certain certifications or skills that you learned at school, or you went to a specific school that's really well known for a certain area of expertise, then that could differentiate you from someone that went to a different school. There's so many different things that can differentiate you depending on the situation, but it certainly can do that.
Yeah. So when it comes to hiring and employees that do have certain levels of education, have you noticed any trends in one's abilities in relationship to that education?
That's a tough question.
I know.
I think that, in general, so I guess I would say this. Yes, I think in general there are some general indicators that you can gather from education, but there are always exceptions to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Generally, expect that someone that went to a very reputable school and got good grades and has kind of all the right things on a resume, they probably have a certain level of work ethic. They probably have a certain level of intelligence, and certain things you can pull away from that. A certain level of dedication, but there are always exceptions to that, where somehow someone got by and got all the qualifications, and turns out they're just, it doesn't really reflect once they get in the workforce.
Yeah.
So there are exceptions, but yeah, I would say in general there are certain trends.
Okay. Wait, I can't hear you I just lost you. Wait.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no, you're still there. I can hear you. I think it was just maybe where your phone was. I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. And I can, yeah, that's perfect.
Let me know if you don't.
Okay, I can hear you. So, you mentioned that you were in the National Guard and that helped you pay for college. So was that like the what? Wait, let me reread this question. Yeah, so did anything in the National Guard or time spent serving the government affect your pursuit to higher education? You kind of already answered that, but...
Yeah, obviously it helped pay for it. But it's certainly, it's encouraged and from my experience for you to pursue education when you're in the military. My original plan was to become an officer, and I knew I needed a degree. I ended up not pursuing that once kind of life changed, but, and it's also just one more life experience where I looked around at my peers, and you get to know people and learn things, and it just kind of confirmed to me that I did want to pursue higher education.
Yeah. Okay, that's awesome. So what was your motivation to keep pursuing a higher education, even though you did face those barriers? Does that make sense?
I think it's the same thing. The original reasons I saw value in higher education were the same. I think one thing that kind of motivated me even more, though, was when I got married and started having a family. I felt an additional motivation to get through with school and find a career that could help provide for our family.
Yeah, that's awesome. How has your higher education and the degrees you hold helped you in applying for jobs?
Significantly. So, first of all, I kind of got my first big, what I would say corporate job in my world. My first real job in human resources because of my graduate program that I was in.
Mm-hmm.
The company I went to, Raytheon, came along with several other very reputable companies. They came to our graduate program recruiting, and I would have never had that opportunity to interview if it wouldn't have been for that program. So the networking, the opening of doors, and then since then, the fact that I have the degrees that I have and the background that I have made me marketable. in my field. So I think they differentiate me in different ways.
Yeah. So do you overall, personally, do you feel that you see the value in your decision to pursue higher education?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. And then in the workforce, do you see value in others' decisions to provide or to pursue higher education?
I do. Yeah, I think there are always exceptions, but in the fields that I've worked in, I've never seen anyone regret pursuing higher education that I know, and it's always only helped them in their life and their career and so forth. So I've never seen really anything negative from it in the areas that I've worked in.
Okay, that's awesome. That's the end.